My name is Brook Zemel. I feel like every day that I wake up and I see my wife and my grandchildren and my son and other friends and family, I feel like one of the most fortunate people on earth. We have a son. We also had a daughter. Her name was Jory, and amazing young lady. At 12 years old, she was diagnosed with osteosarcoma. It's a bone cancer. It's very rare. She fought very hard for 2 years, but we ended up losing her on January 1st, 2001.
She was an amazing young lady, and it's never long enough with a loved one, but we were very, very blessed to have her. Jory died in 2001, New Year's Day, and about 2 years later, we started a foundation.
Well, the mission of the Jory Zemel Children's Bone Cancer Foundation was really to generate funding.
And the money that we raised, and still we raise a little bit, but it goes for children's bone cancer research. We felt like we had to make something good come out of Jory's death and honor her in that way. Brook was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2014. We were out in Colorado. We have a little place up in the mountains in Crested Butte, and we'd been out hiking for a few days. He was complaining of a pain, and I said, we need to get back to Houston right away.
Received a call from my primary physician saying, we need to see you. He laid it on the line and basically said that this was terminal and this was not going to end very well and probably would end sooner than later. My family was very supportive, and my son, I still remember so well, he kept saying, you're going to be okay. I just have this feeling you're going to be okay. Nina, my wife, the most supportive person I could ever find in the world, and she was with me every step of the way. She slept in the hospital. I was there 13 nights, and she was at my side sleeping and awake and getting me the things that I needed, and I owe her my life.
Brook was extremely weak after surgery. He's small, but he was always very tough and strong.
I went in really fit, always having exercise, watching my diet.
And he got down to 107 pounds. There was nothing to him.
Well, I had one major Whipple surgery. Unfortunately, I had a really bad infection as a result of the surgery. About a year after the Whipple surgery, all of a sudden it just turned into this horrible, massive hernia.
So it was very disfiguring. He was very embarrassed of how he looked.
It was a real blow to my self-image, I can tell you that. And then I met Dr. Edelman.
I first met Brook as a patient in, 2016. Brook was an active guy. Having a ventral incisional hernia was not allowing him to do the active things he'd like to do. And so to restore him to form and function that was appropriate, his pancreas surgeon sent him to me to talk to him about a ventral hernia repair. People have used different kinds of mesh over the years that hernia repair has existed, and in Brook's case, we used SurgiMend. We used SurgiMend 3.0. We want something that's going to be a durable repair for the rest of his life, and that's why SurgiMend was such a great choice. We know it persists, but is vascularized and really becomes integrated as his own tissue.
I wish my stomach looked as good as his. Honestly, he's got a six-pack.
And I lift things, I lift my grandchildren. That's a beautiful thing right in itself. I have total trust in the product that's in me. And the SurgiMed, just as knowing that it's organic and it's part of my body, I feel so comfortable.
Seeing a patient like Brook, who is a true success story in terms of the abdominal wall reconstruction, it's just amazing to me. Here's a guy that had cancer, here's a guy that had poor wound healing, and we've been able to restore his form and function, restore his quality of life with really no limitation.
Well, the main words that I have for Integra are that You are in the life-changing business, and you have profoundly changed my life.
Do you want to slide over a little? She won't bite, I promise. Or she might bite.
So, welcome to Integra. I'm Joanna Zilas, and from our medical education team, and I was introduced to Brook and Nina by Dr. Edelman, and it's my pleasure on behalf of the whole global Integra team to welcome you here. We're very happy to have you, and we have a couple of minutes here on stage for Brook and Nina to talk a little bit more about their story, and then we'll open up for questions. And we were able to learn a little bit from the video about, the things that you've gone through and the obstacles that you've overcome together, and the amazing job you've done, and also how you were able to, make the best out of every situation that you've encountered, which is very special and inspiring. And so, to start things off, Brooke, can you tell us a little bit more about the cancer, the diagnosis, and the hernia, and how it was really from your perspective to experience that?
Sure. I want to start off first with thanking Integra for bringing us in and letting us tell our story. Hopefully it's a story that resonates and that you can carry on in the work that you do. We all like to hear things that have impacted others and can impact you and the work that you do. And sometimes work gets to be work, and sometimes work gets to be fun. But the fact of the matter is, as I said in the video, you're in a life-changing business, and so always remember that. One other thing, no offense to Kevin, but I think this is where the real exciting. So,
Touche.
As Nina said, I was diagnosed in April, and we were out in Colorado. We were having a good time. I was having a little pain in the side, not thinking anything of it. Doing a lot of hiking. I was taking an antibiotic at the time, so I just attributed the pain to that. And I was talking to Nina, and she was basically, let's go back to Houston, go to our primary physician. So this was at the end of April. And this was probably about 15 years after we lost, our daughter was diagnosed, to the day almost. And so dragging her away from Colorado was the most difficult thing. I thought she would just say, well, you drive back and I'll stay here.
Normally I would have done that,
I don't know, she was worried for some reason, and I wasn't. But we went, and doctor performed some tests, and on May 2nd, I received a call. And it was a Friday afternoon, and I remember this was so weird. It was probably about 2 in the afternoon, getting a call from your doctor. You don't really want to get a call from your doctor on 2 in the afternoon on a Friday. Usually not a good thing. And they said, we need to see you. And I said, yeah, I've got some time next week. I could probably fit the doctor in. I'm a pretty busy guy. So the lady on the line said, no, he wants to see you now, today, this afternoon. I'm going, well, sure, you can't put this off till next week? I'm going to go hit some golf balls, and you're kind of interfering with my life here. So she said, no, he really wants to see with you this afternoon. So that's, again, not something you want to hear from your doctor. So we went in and met with our doctor that we both had, actually, and had been probably seeing him for 20-some years at that point. And he delivered the really bad news. And so we thought, and he said it was, as he said, he said, this is usually a terminal thing. So we thought, well, we're feeling kind of bad about this, so let's go be with our children and our son and daughter-in-law, grandchildren. We drove over to San Antonio. They had just recently moved over there. We called it our death weekend. And we were trying to just be normal and have fun and just knowing that we had a challenge here. So we went there, and during that interim, the results were sent to, Nina had contacted MD Anderson because we had a connection there, and there was Dr. Wolf, who's an oncologist, and he said, send the results, or whatever you have, and we only had a written report. So we sent that to him, and that was on May 2nd. And May 4th, he called us back, and he said, I think this is a neuroendocrine cancer, pancreatic cancer, and I guess if you're going to get pancreatic cancer, this is the one to get. So, but I don't recommend any kind of pancreatic cancer. I'm not endorsing pancreatic cancer, okay? All right. But so we ended up talking to, Nina actually was talking mainly to Dr. Wolf, and he said, now this is the other strange thing, we had a bucket list trip planned for that Monday, and we're hearing from Dr. Wolf on Sunday. That Monday we were supposed to fly down to the British Virgin Islands. We had chartered a 62-foot catamaran called Off the Grid, and we were going to go sailing around with three other couples and just go out and have a blast. So he said, yeah, you're probably not going to die this week. Go ahead and do the trip. That's all we needed. Okay, green light. Let's move on. We'll die when we get back. Let's just go have a great trip. So we went on this awesome trip all around the BVIs, and it was really wonderful. Came back, and on June 18th, I had the hernia surgery.
Not hernia.
I'm sorry. I had the Whipple surgery, which that's an interesting surgery. Had no idea what I was getting into there, but there was no choice. But I could just imagine Dr. Katz looking at my body going, get rid of that, get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. And so they're just throwing parts away, and they're putting me back together, resecting and doing their thing. And really gifted surgeon. And but as a result of that, I had a really horrible infection. And Nina, I still remember her packing me with this.
It was terrible.
This antibiotic gauze, and I was telling the story last night. As
You
she
don't
was
want to hear it.
pulling it out. It was kind of like a magician, how they kind of, start pulling out all that. She's just going and going and going, and this thing is like could cross the room here. And I'm going, that was inside of me, wow. Any rate, began healing a bit, but this really took its course on me and had an impact in that when they they couldn't really, they couldn't suture me back together again. They had to leave me kind of open. And poor Nina was having to deal with all this stuff, and I had drains and everything else. But as time went on, the doctor said, he said, you're going to get a hernia from this. It's just no way you can avoid it because they're not going to be able to put you back together again. I felt like Humpty Dumpty at that time, except it was a failed Humpty Dumpty situation. So I was waiting and waiting, and sure enough, he's like a prophet on top of being a great surgeon. I developed this really massive hernia, which didn't look like that. That was really horrible. But it was the size of my fist. And, that's kind of bad, So it's protruding, it's painful, it's ugly, it's disfiguring. I was ashamed, embarrassed. I wore a shirt all the time. I wouldn't even let Nina see me without a shirt. I'm like, gotta turn the lights off. So I went through a period of time just with this horrible disfigurement. It was just a blow to anybody when they look in the mirror what they look like. And this was funny.
Laurel.
This was in Orlando at the conference. They had done this thing with David. Okay, all right. So I felt like David. Now, really, this scar, the protrusion, everything or associated with this picture, is what I felt like, at least from my image. And I'm probably sure other people didn't see it this way, but this is what I was looking like to myself. Well, except that his man boobs are size 46. Mine were probably 34. Okay. And he's got to be at least like a G cup or something. Okay. But this is what I really felt like, and that psychological effect, that emotional impact on a patient, on the people that you're really, you're transforming their lives. That effect, don't underestimate how major that is. Along with the physical scarring comes a huge psychological scarring. And I was scarred, and I was damaged goods in my own mind. And what's funny is, Nina, she'd go, don't worry, who cares? I love you just the same, and all this. But it was me, I was beating myself up pretty badly. And I was scared to do things because, and I'm just going to keep getting it larger. And this thing was starting to overtake me. It was like, the hernia was the main body, and I was just this little side part of it. And that's how big it started seeming to be taking over my life. At any rate, that's when I went and saw Dr. Edelman, who really, again, another transformation in my life, all these doctors saving my life and changing my life and putting quality back into my life. So Dr. Edelman did his amazing surgery, and here's what is really scary. I did not really know. He recommended this bovine mesh. At the time he mentioned SurgiMend, but that was meaningless. I just didn't know what it was. There was a mesh involved. And so if he had not mentioned that, I don't know if my life would be what it is right now with the quality, the durability, and everything else that goes along with this product. This product is amazing, and now I've seen how it's formed, but all I know is it's inside of me. It's become a part of me. We're kind of attached to at the hip, so to speak, And so I do things now that I would never have dreamed that I could do. I picked up, I hate to brag about my power and my strength, but I picked up a 50-pound bag of salt pellets the other day. And I only weigh 118, so you can imagine. 50 pounds was a lot. Nina's going 50 pounds, big deal. She's been,
I'm usually the one picking up the 50
she's been pumping iron. I wanted to test it out. So, I'm beating this stuff up pretty well. And we hike, we bike, we pick up the grandkids. We're picking up salt pellets because you got to put them into the water. The water softener. We are doing all of these things. I play golf, work out, and we're doing all these various things. The durability of this thing, and every now and then I'll be thinking, gosh, should I be picking up that 50-pound bag of salt? Is SurgiMend going to make it? Am I going to make it? And I pick it up, and it's like, it's a lot of weight. And it works, and it's lasting, it's durable. So I applaud all of you for what you're doing. You are changing lives. You are making people like me lead normal lives again. The damaged people are not so damaged after all. And that's a wonderful feeling. I know Nina probably has some things to say.
Well, just one thing. We have friends who have had hernias or other surgeries where they've had the synthetic mesh. And they've had really a lot of problems. They've had to go back in, have additional surgeries, remove the mesh. We really have peace of mind. And I'm not just saying this because we're talking to Integra employees, but it's such a nice feeling knowing that this has become a part of his body and that it's a natural substance. And we don't have to go through what our dear friends are going through. That is just something that makes us feel like we don't have to, one more worry we don't have to go through. with all the things he's already gone through, it's really nice. It gives us peace of mind.
How long ago was your hernia surgery?
My hernia surgery was on Halloween, which for some people that's the day of horror, but for me it was like rejuvenation day. And it was on October 31st, 2016, so it's been a while. Like I said, I've been testing this out. Also, in addition to thanking Integra, I want to thank cows everywhere too. I would be remiss. I look at cows differently now. I still eat hamburgers, I'm sorry. But I just want you to know, please, on behalf of the cows, eat more chicken. But do drink your milk.
Well, Brook and Nina, at Integra, we have a motto. It's doing well by doing good. And it's doing well by doing good for our customers, for our patients, and also for each other. And a lot of the work that you've done, for each other, but also for the community, especially children with bone cancer, it's inspirational. And in addition to that, what Brian Vista said this morning on our plant tour, when we're having a tough day at Integra, the story that you're sharing with us today, we think about it, and it helps us continue working hard every day to hopefully change someone's life. So thank you on behalf of all of us. And we've, I know you already know about this, but for the rest of Integra, we've donated to the American Childhood Cancer Organization in Jory's name, Brook and Nina's daughter, to show our support for them and their cause. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're out of time, but we do have some time, I think, for questions from the audience. So if there's anything that anyone would like to ask Brook and Nina, this is the time. And if there's anything from those that are calling in too, I think Laureen can pass the questions on.
I've got a question.
Pete, I can.
Thank you.
So, Brooke, was that the first time you saw the golf swing? Was that?
Hey, I thought that looked pretty good.
That was unbelievable. I was
Not sure
thinking
if that
we
would've
might
been a
have a
hooker or
sports
something.
medicine kind of prophylactic approach to improve the swing, actually. So that might be a way. Questions? Joanne, hold on for the mic.
Story is truly inspirational as well. I just have a question. Did the doctor give you an option between synthetic and the bovine? Was it a hard decision to weigh out both options? I mean, you've obviously taken the best option, but...
I had heard some really horrible stories from our friends, as well as some things that I had seen on 60 Minutes and others, about the synthetic. I was really scared about it. And he mentioned the bovine mesh. It's a natural, organic. It's a biological, and it put me at ease. But I think I would have gone through the surgery if it was even a synthetic at that point because of my ignorance. And this is where doctors and other people have to inform and do the best thing for the patients because we don't know what we don't know. And we are ignorant, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, we just don't know. And I thank goodness that Dr. Edelman was associated evidently with Integra and had been using this and experimenting with it. But I think there's a lot of physicians out there that would not have mentioned it and probably would have been a synthetic mesh, and who knows what would have happened at that point. With all the complications I had, I don't think it would have gone very well, to tell you the truth.
Other questions? Is there any submitted?
Oh, Ken has a question.
Ken has a question.
Yeah, no, great story. How's the cancer doing?
5 years out, and everything is clear at this point.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we'd like to thank you very much. I had the opportunity to meet both Brook and Nina at the sales training, and I got to tell you, the commercial team after we go through the training stories, they're going through all the different approaches and explaining, but you just feel the energy and the purpose after hearing the story. And obviously, you can see Brook does not lack for energy. So I was half asleep from a late night with the commercial teams, and I remember that meeting early on. He was just a ball of energy. And so thank you guys both so much for coming here and sharing the stories. And the words, they resonate, they remember. Everyone remembers the impact. And I think the way you help describe what we do and rethink about things. One of the things I think as I'm sitting here is we have to do a much better job about getting the education out to broader surgeons about the options, about the real cost value differentiation. And, you know, again, for all of us, there's certain takeaways we each have. That's mine, and very much appreciate the passion. Joanna, you do a great job. Kevin, for all the work you're doing, and the whole crew up here. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I think we're at our time at this point, and that's going to conclude our town hall for the first quarter. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
You're so funny.